Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the fifth round of the National Italian Debate Championship for high school level. Here we have two amazing teams. Inside proposition, we have Marinetti debate team, and on side opposition, we have a Cavour debate society. Both teams are from Torino, and before starting with saying the motion, I would like both teams to briefly introduce themselves and their roles so that we can easily follow the debate, starting from team proposition and then opposition. Thank you.
Okay, so my microphone doesn't work, so I'll use my teammates. I'm Alexandra, and I'll be the first speaker for today.
I'm Theo. I'll be the second speaker and the one that does the replica.
I'm Gianno, and I'm going to be the third speaker. Start.
Team opposition, please.
Good evening. I'm Giorgia Gualtieri, and I'll be the first speaker and third speaker during this debate.
I am Adriano Ventura, and I'll do the second and reply speech for opposition team.
Perfect. Thank you so much. My name is Sara Mirkovic, and I will be your chair for today's debate. And my panelists that will be judging with me are Marco Savastano and Rosangela Argentina Gamba. If there are no further questions, I would like to start with introducing today's motion, which is this House would boycott the Milano-Cortina 2026 Paralympics Games in response to the admission of Russian and Belarusian athletes. If there are no further questions, I will keep my time with the timekeeper, and all of you are free to use yours as well. I would like to leave the floor to first speaker of proposition team. The floor is yours whenever you're ready.
Okay, I'll start in 3, 2, 1. Okay, good evening, judges and contestants. We are the Marinetti debate team, and today we will debate on whether we should boycott the Milano-Cortina 2026 Paralympics, and if Russia and Belarus should participate with their athletes. So we want to begin with defining what boycotting means. By boycotting, our team believes that there's a total denial of economic and social gains that the country we stand against could have. Our house is again truly against the participation of Russia and Belarus and any other adjacent name they could come in and participate. But we don't know if it applies for Olympics, so we'll only talk about the Paralympics. So we fundamentally stand against the participation of a country that is actively waging war as the oppressor against not only European members, but also of any country. We believe that supporting a country that is waging war does not only paint an awful picture of what the Olympics stand for, and the Paralympics, which are a moment of union for all countries and for all states, but it is a peaceful contest. But we also want to put pressure on the country and the states that are actively doing what the Olympics and Paralympics stand for. And we do not want to push any blame. We want to highlight this. We do not want to push any blame upon the athletes. We only want to boycott the state and the country of Russia and Belarus. But we also believe that the competition is inherently political, and we cannot separate the athletes from their country. So we are against them. We're against their country participating, but not so much the athletes. Later on, my teammates will also introduce and will go further into these topics. Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, thank you so much, Alexandra, for your speech. I would just like to ask anybody how much time did she speak, because I just forgot to put a timer for this first speech, sorry.
I spoke for 3 minutes and 48 seconds.
Okay, thank you. Perfect. Every time a speaker finishes, the other two panelists just raise thumbs up, so I know you're ready to continue. Please.
I'm going to start my
Okay.
speech.
Okay, you can go. Okay, first speaker
Okay,
for opposition, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm going to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Okay. Good evening, dear judges. I'm Georgia, and I'll be the first and third speaker during this debate. And so, first of all, I would like to underline something that a definition that proposition team didn't give us. You talked about the motion is talking about the admission of Russia and Belarus athletes who are competing and as individual and neutral athletes. So I would like to rebuttal some of the affirmation that proposition team said. First of all, you said that boycotting is a total denial of social and economical participation. So how is this possible? It is basically impossible to completely deny a social and economical participation. You didn't give us a mechanization about how this would practically work. Secondly, you told us that you are against Russia and Belarus. And not basically you're not against the Russian and Belarusian athletes, but you are going to damage them because of the fact that you are going to exclude them who are already participating as individual and neutral athletes, as I will say later. You also said that Olympics are a moment of union, and talking about this, my teammate is going to underline how this is basically the same thing as we are saying and we are talking about, because Olympics are a moment of union, and this will be our second argument. Also, you said that we cannot separate athletes from country, and I'm going to show you how this is not possible, and this is not correct in my first argument. Talking about our line, we are going to talk about, first of all, how excluding Russian and Belarusian athletes would damage basically people who participate as individual and neutral athletes. Secondly, in our second argument, we will talk about Olympics, which are a moment of union. And finally, we will show you how boycotting would not be useful and would bring us more harm than good. So let's talk about how let's talk about our first argument. Russia and Belarusian athletes already participate as individual and neutral athletes. So you're not going to condemn, you're going just to condemn them because they are Russian and Belarusian, not because they are supporting their government. They are not their government. People are not the government, and they do not represent it, because they do not necessarily share the same ideas. And basically, you said the opposite, because you said that we cannot separate athletes from country, but you didn't really explain why. So basically, we would just condemn them, and we would just condemn Russian and Belarusian athletes just because they are Russian and Belarusian. So because of their nationality, and this is really a bad thing, an horrible thing to do. We need to make a difference between people and government. Moreover, we would not just harm and affect athletes who do not represent their government and not their ideas, not their action, not its action. But we would just do something worse for us, because we would bring Russia and Belarusian to think about and see West as their enemy, basically an enemy who condemns Belarusian and Russian athletes just because of their nationality, and so we would increase the distance between us and between Russian and Belarusian, and this would also hypothetically and eventually affect negotiations and relationships between our country and their country. Moreover, we are talking about Paralympics, so we are talking about athletes who are individual and neutral, athletes who do not represent their country, and I would like to underline this again, who are disabled, so they have difficulties on participating on big events such as Paralympics. And so we would just basically condemn them and make their life more difficult, just because we are going and condemn them because of their nationality, and this is a terrible thing. So basically, this would have a terrible impact, because first of all, as I showed you before, we will harm and damage athletes who do not represent our government, who do not represent its actions, who would not even represent its ideas. And we will also sparkle more division between two countries which are already separated. And we would bring Russian and Belarusian to have a bad perception of West as a subject who hates the others just because they are Russian or Belarusian, so just because of their nationality. I would like to underline again our line, which will be developed later by the second speaker of opposition team, and which also answer you to some of your statements that are not correct, such as the fact that you said and you talked about that we should exclude those athletes because the Olympics are a moment of union, and this will be our second argument, and we prove you the opposite. So we'll prove you that Olympics and Paralympics are a moment of union, and so Russia and Belarus need to participate to make Olympics effective and useful. And our third argument will be the fact that Olympics excluding and boycotting would be not useful at all and would bring more harm than good. I would like to conclude also asking the preposition team something which they didn't told us about during the first speech. How would you boycott in practice Paralympics? How would it be possible at this moment? Because we as opposition team cannot see a way how this could be possible and useful. How? So I finished my speech, and I talked for 8 minutes.
Okay, thank you so much, Georgia, for your speech. Your speech lasted 8 minutes and 8 seconds. Just give us a moment. Okay, perfect. Now I would like to leave the floor to the second speaker of proposition team. Whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
Yes, I'm gonna start in 3, 2, 1. Hello, dear judges. Good evening. I'm Theodore. I'm the second speaker of the proposition team and the one that does the replica. I will begin my speech by underlining some things that perhaps weren't very clear in the previous speech that my teammate made. And first of all, when we say boycott, like she said, we mean that we don't condemn athletes for their nationality. So that's the reason we don't want their presence here at the Paralympics. But the thing that many people still don't understand is that even athletes have an image, and they represent their own country in the Olympics and Paralympics. So, like you said, it's really hard to differentiate the athlete and the nationality they have and the nation they represent. That is true, and it's true that we cannot condemn the athletes, but the thing we're doing is not condemning the athletes. It's more like we are preventing the image of the Paralympics to go and say to everyone basically that we support the war that is happening right now.
Right.
Talked about funds, and yes.
We already stated that Russian athletes don't participate to represent Russia or Belarus. How do you address that?
I can, well, the thing I can say is they're not going there to say, hi, I'm Russian and I'm here for that. But subconsciously, every athlete represent their country. After all, then how would you explain the fact that there are so many flags, so many countries go in there and tell their athletes to represent the nation? After all, the Olympics and Paralympics are a sportive representation of their nation, because it's the most famous and important sport event that there is on this planet. So even if they're not going there to say, yeah, I'm Russian, and that's what they do, even still they still represent their country in a way or another. Going on, addressing what the first speaker of the opposition team said, we talked about funds, and you said that many, it's like impossible to have any funds, any monetary reward. But even so, if an athlete wins medals, they get some money, they get rewarded, as we all know. And even if it's not that known, it's normal that the more the athletes wins, the nation itself gain some funds, gain popularity, gain image, And unfortunately, image, it's very important in our lives and in this political situation. After all, how would you explain the fact that in the past Olympics, because of the presence of Russian athletes, many athletes from Spain or from other nations decided not to participate because of the presence of the Russians, because they knew that subconsciously by going there they would have said, we go there because we accept the fact that Russian athletes are here, and the sportive representation of Russia is here, and we participate because it's okay with us. And the thing that we're against is this: we are not okay with this. We're not condemning the athletes, as we already said, and I would like to point it out. But the thing that we're saying no is to the fact that by the athletes going there, Russians and the government would gain funds that they would most possibly will be using for the continuing of the war. Another thing that we have to understand is that we also go against the athletes, but we also go against the Paralympics itself. And why is that? It's because the Paralympics decided to accept, like when we read the motion was if we would boycott after the acceptance of Russian and Belarusian athletes. So we already know they're accepted, but is it okay with us? We say no to this, and we are also going against the Paralympic committee, we can say, the organizers, because we as Italians, we don't support that. And it was wrong, even though the Olympics were held at the Milano-Cortina, which is in Italy, we still believe that it wasn't right to have them here if there was the presence of Russian and Belarusian, because we don't believe in that. We don't support the war that is happening. And we like to point out again that we don't go against the athletes, just the nation. Another thing we would like to point out, talking about image, is and to explain why we are mad with the Milano-Cortina, with the fact that Milano-Cortina's Paralympics are held here, is the fact that as Paralympics are held here, we don't believe in the presence of the Russians. Again, I explain, and therefore we are mad, and we want to boycott the presence of the Russians here, because first of all, other nation wouldn't participate. The athletes of other nation wouldn't participate, like it happened before. So it's really probable that it could happen again, and so therefore we cannot comment and decide whether other nations support or not this war. But the thing we can do is talk for our nation and say that we don't support this, and that's why we should boycott. In your question earlier, you asked me and my team, how would we boycott this, like actively what we would be doing? And for example, we could do propaganda, tell people not to come here, and that would do a lot. Same thing with other nations. I end my speech here, and yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your speech lasted 8 minutes and 10 seconds. Just give us a moment, please.
I'm sorry, I didn't see.
Wait a second.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Now we can leave the floor to the second speaker in opposition, Adriano Ventura, whenever you're ready. The floor is yours.
Okay, I'm Adriano Ventura, and my speech will start in 3, 2, 1, go. I will start by addressing some of the points and rebuttals that proposition brought up. We noticed that there's a fundamental misunderstanding in proposition's line about who participates in these Olympics. First, I'm going to address what first speaker pro actually said, which is that they have nothing against the particular athletes, and that like they are just against the nation, but that's clearly one, not relevant, and two, not true from their whole line. It's very evident. I'm gonna explain why now. Basically, if you exclude the athletes from competing, you are harming them directly. So it doesn't really matter if you say that your intention is to target the country. The effect is not to target the country because you aren't. I'm going to explain it a bit more later because proposition team doesn't seem to have understood this. The effect is that they lose their opportunity, which is already one of the few ones they have. The effect is that they lose career milestones, which are really important to athletes and disabled athletes in this case. They lose funding. In fact, being a sportsman in general is very expensive. It's hard to maintain yourself as a sportsman without the funds from the Olympics. That's why the athletes change so much. They lose visibility, which is important, and uh, they get an individual punishment for something that their country did. So you cannot really say that you have nothing against the athletes while removing their only global platform, really. So that also, second speaker seems to not really understand that Russians and Belarusians that are at the Milano-Cortina Olympics are not there as Russians. And I don't mean that they're with the like Russian flag everywhere and they're saying, oh, well, but we're not really pro-Putin, right? No, that's not what they're doing. Of course, I will condemn that as well, probably. That's not the case. They are there as individual athletes. This is what it looks like. They are among the neutral athletes, not associated ones. So they do not get to wear their flag, their colors. They do not get the hymn at the start. They do not get to have the public waving the Russian flag around. So they're not mentioned as Russians. They're just called by their names as participants. And also about the image and monetary argument, to say that Russians gain image from someone having to strip away their like their nation's flag from their dress to actually participate to the Olympics is frankly absurd. And also the monetary argument, I don't really get that. Like if you actually consider like how money works, like the maximum prize at the Paralympics is like I'd say at most like $100,000, and for Russians economy that's completely irrelevant. And that is if they have their money in Russia. That's not even sure. Like that's really so far fetched. I can't really respond to that. Anyways, let's get to our two remaining arguments. So our second argument is that boycotting fuels nationalism, while the Olympics are really a moment meant to reunite. Russians, thanks to Putin's wonderful media and propaganda machine, already feel like and are starting to feel like the West specifically hates Russians for being Russians. And what proposition is proposing is only going to worsen that. As we said in our previous argument, we will. Not be excluding Russians Russian representatives, we will be excluding singular people. Just because they are from Russia, practically. They're not competing with their flag, etc., as I already said in my rebuttals. So someone being excluded from a competition just because they're Russians will lead to Russians actually feeling like they're being discriminated against and giving a free point to Putin, which is already trying to make them think that. This is also contrary to what Olympics are meant to be. So Olympics were instituted at the start of the last century, right? But actually, they were reinstituted because they were originally Greek, and even like the Greeks 2,500 years ago understood that the Olympics were a moment to stop fighting and to participate as a ward in the Olympics. But that's not even really what we are proposing. We are just advocating for singular people to be able to participate to this. I completely understand not letting Russia itself participate. This is not the case. Like this kind of behavior from proposition team will just fuel nationalism, which is exactly what the Russian propaganda machine wants. And also, our third argument: this decision will really bring more harm than good. This oh, did I hear something? Do you want to PR? Okay, no, my bad. Um, this decision will only bring more harm than good. This boycott will not influence Russian government policy, and we, as the European Union, are already doing a lot. Russia calculates basing on military, territory, economy, and politics in general, and we are already destroying them on that. Rightfully so. We are sanctioning everything they import to us, and this is working. Pro might say that even a small action like the one they are planning will be a good step. I would agree if it wasn't that this has great costs. This really has great costs that outweigh the pros by a lot, really. This creates immediate harm towards the athletes, specifically disabled ones, which already have fewer international events, less funding, shorter and more fragile competitive windows, etc. We are just excluding disabled individuals stripped from their country, rightfully so, just because they're Russians. This does not produce condemnation of a government. This just excludes disabled people from the only event made for them. This is why we strongly oppose this motion, and thank you for listening. I will conclude my speech here.
Thank you so much. Your speech lasted 8 minutes and 14 seconds.
Hi, I'm.
Are we ready?
I am.
Ready?
I am.
Okay. Wait a sec. No, not you, the panelist.
Okay.
Oh, okay, perfect. Okay, now third speaker proposition. Whenever you're ready, floor is yours.
All right. My speech will start in 3, 2, 1. All right. So first of all, I would like to explain better how the boycottage would be and how we plan to make it. So basically, how will we boycottage Russia and Belarus? We would do that by by rebelling against what Russia is doing, because I guess we can all agree that war is wrong and it goes against morals. So as we don't stand for that, we would boycottage them by letting people rebel against it. So not represent, for example, you said that the boycottage would make athletes lose their milestones, but I don't think that they will lose the milestones because of the boycottage, but because of the decision in the first place of letting the state participate, just as it is. So if they go with representing the country, we would approve that. So people can just choose not to participate because Russia and Belarus are allowed in the competition, or simply just not represent the country. Because there is an example actually, an Ukrainian athlete. Go on.
This is already the case. They are not representing Russia. They are going against, like, without their flag. How do you respond to that?
And that is okay, but we do not. We are against the idea of letting the state as itself participate, not the athletes from the state. The problem is the committee that allowed Russia and Belarus into the competition. The athletes, if they go with a representation, it is okay. But the fact itself that they allowed the country is wrong, because we do stand against war, because it's morally wrong, it's unacceptable. So since we do not stand against it, the idea is that if less states and countries, if more states and countries are against it and they rebel, there will be less audience, which means less sponsors for the country, because we are against the idea of Russia being in the competition in the first place, not the athletes, if they do not represent the country. That is what we meant. We're sorry if you got it wrong. That is what we meant. Because we refuse to be accomplices of this conflict, because it is totally wrong. And I have in allies which are pro of this thing. We just would rather this not happening. That's why we would boycott their presence. And so it would be more of a protest, of a rebellion of what is happening, to see that it's a way to prove to people, to the entire world, that if they do something wrong, it's seen, we can see that, and they can just do whatever like everybody else and still do damage inside the world. So this is them facing the consequence of their actions. So if a country does something that goes against morals, we can just let them participate like any other country, because what they're doing is wrong. And by doing this, by boycotting, it's a protest, it's a rebellion against what is happening, to see that people who are suffering, who are dying, are heard and are seen. Like an example that I wanted to make is that this Ukrainian athlete came with a helmet with the faces of the victims of this war, people who died and couldn't participate because they died in the war. And this athlete was told to remove the helmet. And I think that this is unacceptable, because it's a way to make their memories be lost. Like, they don't matter. Like, Russia can do anything and it cannot be seen. Like, it doesn't matter just because, oh, they're participating too. They can participate just because they're a country in the world, which is not right, because they need to face the consequences of their actions, which are completely wrong. And since I think it's universally known that war is wrong, and we should stand against it. We should boycott, we should rebel, and that's why we will do this. So we can let them see that war, just because you're a country here, doesn't mean you can do whatever. And putting limitations to Russia, to Belarus, for what is happening, I think is absolutely correct. And if athletes want to participate, because they are allowed to, does not mean they should represent the country which is doing something wrong. So if they go neutral, that's completely fine. But if they represent the country which is actively doing something wrong, even right now as we are speaking, is unacceptable, and we will not stand for it. That's why we are boycotting this. So we do not go against the athletes themselves, as I have said, but you have misunderstood clearly, because it's just a protest to make all the victims be recognized, be remembered. And it's not just because there are Paralympics or Olympics. There's no difference. They shouldn't have been allowed in this competition simply for this reason, which is not simply because it's something horrible. And I think everybody, even a child, can tell you that it is wrong and they should not participate simply for their action. So this is why if they go individual, it is completely fine, because they do not represent what is wrong. And by participating neutral, it gives them a chance for the future to increase as an athlete without being strictly bonded with the country which they came from, which is absolutely correct. But letting the country in is wrong. The athletes, if they don't represent, is okay. But allowing, yeah.
The countries are banned. We are.
Or is the protected minute?
Oh, my bad. Then go ahead. Sorry.
Can I still reply to it?
No, go on with your speech.
Okay. So, to summarize what we have said, we do stand against it, and athletes should be against it too. They should be allowed to let them be heard and rebel against it as well. So this is our idea of boycott, just rebelling against them being let in the country, not the athletes, because it goes against morals, and to show that we do not support or approve this behavior in first place, and not to let them gain sponsors or anything. And I'm out. I'm done.
Okay, thank you so much. Your speech lasted 8 minutes and 19 seconds. Give us a moment, please.
Can I go to the bathroom?
Yeah, of course, if you're not speaking, if you're not a speaker anymore, you can go to work. Okay. Are the panelists ready? Okay. Okay, so I would like to leave the floor to the last speaker of this constructive part of the debate, the third speaker in opposition. Whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
Good evening again, dear judges. I'm going to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. I'm Georgia, and I'll be the third speaker of this debate. So basically, I would like to start underlying something that clearly the preposition team did not understand. What does it mean that Russia and Belarus team is participating as individual and neutral athletes? It means that they are not, on TV, for example, it does not appear the image of a Russian flag. They are not wearing Swiss like Russian with the Russian flag. So basically, they are not representing Russian and Belarusian countries. Now I would like to start writing something of the sentences that preposition team said. First of all, I would like to say that you talked about a lot about boycotting, but you didn't explain how in practice it would work. You didn't give us a mechanization. You didn't tell us how boycotting, how possible it would work in our country and how it would affect Belarus and Russia. Moreover, Russian and Belarusian athletes are not even participating as as a representation of Russia and Belarusian team. They are participating as individual and neutral athletes, as, for example, on TV, TV shows us. On the other hand, as we said, boycotting Olympic Paralympics will bring us to more damage and to a bigger distance between those countries. First of all, how I said during the first mechanization, because I said that because of the fact that we exclude Russian Belarusian athletes, we would basically give Russian Belarusian a strong image of West, and Russian Belarusian would see us as enemies, and so it would increase the distance between the countries. It would basically bring more harm than benefits. Moreover, you didn't explain how boycotting would work. You also said that the first speaker said that Olympics are a moment of union, and we are completely, and this is completely true. And this is basically our second argument, as my teammates show you. Olympics are a moment of union, and because of this, everybody should be allowed to participate on these games. You also said that. Yes, please.
I said peaceful. I said peaceful union. Sorry, it's terrible here. I said peaceful union. How do you justify Russia's aggression towards Ukraine?
I didn't understand.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
Never mind, then it doesn't work.
Okay. Secondly, you said that I didn't. The second reply talked about the fact that we cannot separate the country from the athletes, and this is wrong. How and why we could not separate the athletes from the country? It's basically wrong, and we will show you why this is not true, and the completely opposite is right. So we can easily separate countries from athletes, because athletes do not have the same ideas, do not approve officially the actions of their government, and they do participate as individual and neutral athletes. You also talked about a lot image, but what the concept of image really means. You didn't really explain it well, and if I'm correct, I understand it at like the image they give maybe through social network, but this is not even true, because they didn't expose political idea. They do not support, for example, the government's actions. They are not there to approve and participate as their countries. You also talked about some countries would not participate, but those countries do not participate because of Israel presence, which is participating and representing the nation, and the athletes are not neutral, not even individual athletes. And this is a completely different debate. You also said that participation could be used for propaganda. How could we work if they do not have the flag, if they do not even show the flag? They do participate as individual and neutral athletes, and I would like to underline this again. So, dear judges, don't you think that punishing people because of what their nationality is completely wrong and bad? I think that is basically how racism works. So I don't think that we should support and that you should support Proposition House. You also talked about protests that would affect Russian and Belarusia. But again, and was told by the third speaker, but again, there is no mechanization because they do not represent their government, and how practically we would harm Russia and Belarusia through protests. You also talked about the man who, the Ukraine man with the helmet, but I would like to underline that they didn't make him participate because Olympics are a moment of union, and they want to discourage every possible clash between countries, which maybe would never even happen because of the fact that Russian and Belarusian athletes are representing. They are not representing their countries. They are individuals who are participating, and the proposition team want to punish them just because they are Russian and Belarusian. So just because of their nationality, and this is completely wrong. We agree on the fact that war is a bad thing, but we are not saying that war is a good thing. We are saying that it's a bad thing punishing people who do not express their opinion, who do not agree on the actions of the country, but who just basically want to participate to the games, and were participating from themselves, not for the country. Again, I think that you repeated this a lot of times. So you said that the country is basically the athletes are basically representing the country. But as I said in the first moment, this is not true because they are not representing the country. On the other hand, what would be the impact of boycotting? It would not be stopping the war of Russia and Belarus. It would not stop and would not prevent Russian people by killing civilians, and this is completely wrong. But it would harm everybody. I'm done with my speech. Thank you, everybody.
Time.
Sorry, I had my mic off. I was saying your speech lasted 8 minutes and 9 seconds. Thank you. Wait a second. Sorry.
No problem.
Okay, perfect. Now, the constructive part of the debate came to an end. Then we can start with the respective replies, starting from opposition reply. The floor is yours.
I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1, go. Dear judges, this debate essentially was all about the fundamental misunderstanding that proposition had throughout this whole debate about the motion we were given. They understood admission of Russian and Belarusian athletes as admission of Russia and Belarus. This is not the case. This is not what we have been debating today. Third speaker of proposition team basically conceded the argument by saying that they would agree with singular athletes participating in the competition, while they wouldn't want, rightfully so, Russia and Belarus to participate. However, that is already the case, and that is essentially what led to us winning this whole debate. Our first clash was on signaling symbolically and actual real consequences. So proposition presented the boycott as something moral to do, but us, like we as opposition, showed that there is no link between a sports boycott and a change in actual Russian government policy. Um, because we demonstrated that Russia is already facing severe economic sanctions, big isolation, condemnation from most of the developed world, and no evidence was provided during this whole debate that a Paralympic boycott to not even the particular state, but the single athletes will meaningfully pressure Russia to stop this conflict. At the same time, we also demonstrated that this will create great harms to the Paralympic athletes by getting away from them the funding, the visibility, and the milestones they need to have to survive as already disabled athletes. Also, opposition, we showed that excluding individuals based on their nationality risks reinforcing nationalist narratives, which is already exactly what Putin wants his citizens to feel. And we demonstrated that proposition's line only fuels the Russian propaganda machine to make them hate more and more and more the West without encouraging discourse and actually finding a way to end this conflict. So we also won on long-term stability and actual global cooperation. So in the end, when comparing um, a symbolic condemnation that proposition wanted to bring to Russia and the concrete harm without actual measurable political gain, we really won this debate. With this, I conclude, and thank you for listening.
Thank you so much. Your reply speech lasted 3 minutes and 36 seconds. Now we can leave the floor to the last speech of this debate, which is side proposition's reply speech, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I can begin in 3, 2, 1. Good evening, dear judges, dear teammates, and opposition team. I'll be doing the replica. In this debate, we have seen many points of clash, and the main being the funds, the image, the possibility of the athletes representing or not the countries. We have seen a lot. We said that the problem aren't the athletes themselves, but the fact that they subconsciously give image, which is more popularity, more access to infos, more, how can I say, more popularity, more affirmation to Russia. And the opposition said it wasn't true. We have seen, like I said, the funds. So the fact that even by participating, the government still gets funds, but apparently that as well isn't true, but it actually is. And many other things we said was that we weren't against athletes, and we were against the Paralympics organizers as well for permitting Russia and Belarus. So the problem itself really aren't the athletes, and apparently the opposition said that we are against the athletes, and I could almost say that at the same time they're against the peace world, and how can I say, the fact that they accept the fact that Russia, which is actively in war, is permitted to participate in these events. We have seen a lot, and the main point, our main point, I want to affirm that as well again, is the problem related to the war, to the fundings, to the image that Italy itself could have for permitting this, and the image of the Olympics as a sport organization as well. These were the main points of clash. And what we as a team, as our house, what we believe, and that's why we should win, because is it really worth it to permit the Paralympics for Russian athletes way more than fight against an active war that's destroying everyone in different ways, but still everyone? That is the question I pose to you, judges. My speech ends here, and this was the replica. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much. Your speech lasted 3 minutes and 38 seconds. Okay, perfect. The debate is concluded. Congrats to both teams. I would like everybody to open your mic and give a collective applause. Congrats to both teams. It was a very interesting debate. I would like everybody to actually, I think we can leave the room, like as judges, to go to the judges' room, if there exists, yes. And we will be back here. Sorry?
We'll go to the judges' room, okay?
Yeah, exactly. You can be here, chat, whatever you want, and we will be here in as soon as possible, I guess. Okay. But we will be here soon. So see you later. Oh wait, let me just interrupt the registration. Interrotta, no?
No, è ancora
Arrivo. Ah, ok, no, qua, perfetto.